if you walk into a company and everyone seems to agree about everything, that's actually not harmony. It's, I'd say, symptomatic of more of a totalitarian culture where no one feels free to speak their mind.
David Sachs is a successful entrepreneur and investor. Through his experiences as a chief operating officer of PayPal and founder of Yammer, he has developed a unique perspective on the tech industry and what it takes to build a successful startup. He has invested in iconic companies such as SpaceX, Palantir, Uber, Twitter, and co-founded the venture firm Craft Ventures. At Albry, we have curated a collection of his talks and other materials. In these series, David shares his insights on everything from leadership to product development, the SaaS industry, and politics, giving you a front-row seat to his journey through the tech landscape. Here are just a few clips of legendary David Sachs.
We did, and so even though it was 18 months delayed behind us, and the product wasn't as good, they already had an existing customer base and a huge army of salespeople and a huge marketing budget, and we didn't have any of those things. And so the question is, how are you going to compete against the inevitable copycats, clones, competitors, and big companies who wake up to the idea once you've taught the market that it was lacking? And so I think the key here is there's a number of different techniques. I mean, obviously, probably the best one is network effects of some kind. You've got like a 2 or 3-sided marketplace here, and so it's very, very hard. You can copy the product, but you can't copy the network of people who started using it. You can't copy the community. Maybe there's some, I like this less, but there could be some technical barrier that's just extremely difficult to copy. So if you look at like Dropbox, you would think that desktop sync would have been copied a long time ago, but it was actually such a technically difficult problem to get the usability of it so perfect the way that Dropbox.
So what is the cadence? It's based on a few very, very simple insights, but very few startups are actually doing these things. So the first insight is that there's 2 key systems in a startup. The first system is what I call the sales finance system. And the second system is what I call the product marketing system. Both of these systems, in my view, run better on a quarterly cycle, and they should be planned on a quarterly cycle. And then the third insight is that, well, if you've got these 2 systems, they're running on a quarterly cycle, if you just snap them together with a slight offset, and we'll talk about that, you can then create a single operating cadence for the company. It's very simple. I mean, this is something that every startup can do. And when a startup kind of deteriorates into the thing I call the shit show, it's always because one of these groups or one of these systems is either it's not being run the way it needs to, or it's not being snapped into alignment with the other systems. All right, so let's talk about each of these systems and functional areas, and then I'll explain how they all.
What I hear a lot on Twitter is that, well, you VCs, you should have been more disciplined in your investing if you wanted us to be more disciplined in the way that we operate. Like, why are you VCs lecturing us to be more disciplined? Why weren't you more disciplined in the companies you're investing in? It's like, okay, good point. There were a lot of undisciplined VCs out there. That's not going to save your ass when you run out of money. They're not going to invest. So look, this is not a blame game between VCs and operators. This is advice so that operators can make the best decisions so you survive. And if you're like me, the only thing you care about is that your portfolio companies survive. So the advice I'm giving is purely so that founders are in the best position to survive. It's not about blame. All right, next.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to learn from one of the tech industry's best. Look into our playlist of David's videos and other materials. And if you want to stay updated on new insights and ideas from David Sachs, check out the follow feature on our website. Follow Albry, follow your curiosity.